Unanga pay, Yabalebo, Yabalebo, Jesus pay, Yabalebo, Tomato no Unanga pay, Yabalebo, Yale tomato, Jesus, Yabalebo, Yale Nusa pay, Unanga pay, Yabalebo, Yale Pamo pay, Unanga pay, Yabalebo, Yale Wara pay, Unanga pay, Yabalebo, Yale Sana pay, Unanga pay, Yabalebo.
All right, good evening and welcome. We're taking you to Greater Liberia, the battleground, Bon County, right here this evening. Good evening. Welcome to all our viewers and listeners across the globe. We want to welcome Madiet, welcome Jerome, Goye, Conan, Marie Mo, Esther, Tapi Mo, Fati, Nina Kuya, Joseph Weir, Mohammed Conan. Good evening. Welcome. This is the Liberia Public Radio. The presidencies of out of the capital heading to Washington, D.C. for the major war conference. What is the political discussions on ground? Major parties meetings in Greater Liberia, Bon County. The maritime for 2023 presidential general elections in Liberia on the rise. I think I better start carrying my own party too. Oh my goodness. What a beautiful song here this evening, and unveiling the culture, the traditions of the motherland, the Republic of Liberia. Your thing was stupid, we're not stupid again. Okay, good evening. So welcome. I'm Alfonso Ziansot of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. We want to welcome our viewer this evening, wherever you are. Thank you for sharing your evenings with us. Dumara Tavengi, I'm getting the name right there. Taiko Antoinette from the Garden City of New Jersey. Now, man, Zion Tobozi. He's a fan Liberian based in the model state and Michigan to Grand Rapids. Good evening to welcome Mr. Pedan. Good evening to welcome. This is the Diaspora Informative News Outlet, Liberia Public Radio, keeping the fewer professionalism into place. News, fair, balance, and objective views. Let's get a ball rolling here this evening. Good evening. Welcome. I'm Alfonso Ziansot of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for sharing your beautiful Friday. Today is Friday. Jesus Christ. Thank you for sharing your Friday with us this morning, this evening, this night, depending on your location. This is the Liberia Public Radio, LPR, keeping the news fair, balanced, and proportional. We are not here to entertain. Entertainment, let me not just make it so conclusive. Entertainment is a greater component of news as well. But for us, entertainment aspect here, we give it a little bit low percentage because there's so many things happening simultaneously. And those issues needs to be discussed proportionally so that your time spent with us here is considered valuable. Because without you, we can't do what we are doing. We cannot be here. It is because of your convictions, your courage, your support, just by sharing all here, not just necessarily financial support. But don't get me wrong, if you send it, we'll take it. But, and this is very much important, for those of us to choose to do what we are doing, some of us, it is our profession, some there for entertainment, some there for political purposes, because there are specific interests they do have, and there's a mediums of which you want to channel those grievances. So they have their side. The media industry today is so much polarized, dependent where you go, where you find yourself. The talking points will always be various. The interpretations will always be there. But somebody should break through that gap to make sure the news is fairly shared, considering all that we are going through in our country, seeking for good governance, equity, fair balance, and everybody should be treated. No one should be above the law. And that's where the media aspect comes in. Don't get me wrong, some gurus in the media industry themselves, they are so out for different reasons, which of many of these political purposes. Nothing is done for nothing because they want to be politically rewarded at the end of the day or at the end of the turnout, wherever they find themselves, considering the kind of season that is unfolding. But for us here at LPR, we are very cognizant of the fact that there are many challenges facing our nation. So we take into serious concern when we are having this conversation, for which it is not our priority to tell you what you need to hear about, to tell you what you need to know. That may not go down well with a lot of people, but it is why it is. 3 major elections ahead, of which many of those dictates to our daily lives. You've been hearing a lot of people be talking. We know, we're seeing it. It's visibly clear. It's vivid. It's clear. The school systems in the country, the infrastructure system in the country, the health situations in the country. How many Liberians finding it very difficult to get their balanced diet? You and I here, you open your fridge, the juices in all color, green, white, blue, everything there. You just open the door, turn your back, and throw your hands in there to grab anything as a dessert, as a snack. How many of our brothers and sisters can afford doing that? They're not even sure. They don't eat snack. They don't even get a juice to drink. No way to build the body, start to fight, to make it equip. Not that because they don't have more to eat, not that those things are not visible there. Yeah, they get supermarkets and everything there, but how many of them can afford to buy that? And so we took all of these social and daily lives into serious consideration that when we come here, we want to make sure and have a genuine conversation. You can make your choice, you can make your pick, whoever, but take into consideration who is reflecting or represent your status. And your status, take a holistic approach, not because you hear it's okay, but the status of your semblance and the people that are in the country and ordinary Liberians who are struggling and finding it very difficult to make ends meet. The hardship and the way we proportion our paychecks, those of you in the West and other parts of the world, African culture is just that African culture and tradition. You have friends, you have siblings. And I don't care how, maybe Liberia may say me, when you take pay, you get a friend you were a classmate before, neighbors, relatives, calling, trying to get something just to sustain themselves, to put a little bit proteins into their system. We all have to inconvenience ourselves to dip into our paycheck and give a helping hand. But is that sustainable? Absolutely not. So then what can we do? Is to question ourselves and a commitment to our country by making sagacious decisions, talking to our brothers and sisters in a safer context, giving an arguable and convincing point, making them to understand. Listen to their side of the story, even though it might be ridiculous, it might sound like someone who is not on planet Earth. But in modern society and conversation to conference, when you listen to me, I will listen to you. Potentially, that could be. But how will you feel that you want somebody to listen to you, but you don't want to listen to them? The name callings in the politics of Liberia today is not helping us. The last 5 years, people have caused, they have abused. What has it done? Let's be pragmatic. Let's be realistic here and put away these governments of CDC, Liberty Party, Unity Party, ANC, and all of that, and put out the government of the Republic of Liberia, that you will see the national ensign, the flag, a country over 178 years old. Put out that little government and see yourself. Do I deserve this? My people, do they deserve this? And give it a thought. If our even sedition, Liberty Partisans, ANC, and all the multi-party LPP and the countless political parties that are yet to be unborn, but they will be coming, of course, everybody looking for political accommodations so that it will be in the fries. What cool? And I say cool, there is no guarantee, but to be a good listener. If you're a Liberty partisan, listen to the argument of ANC. If you're ANC, listen to the argument of CDC. If you're CDC, listen to the argument of LPP. How many of us on doing the politicians and those elite politicians or decision maker, how many of us ordinary Liberians have the tolerance as well to accommodate and welcome these sort of civil conversations within our own cycle? How many of us have the patience? Yes, Afonso, you say you are ANC. Why are you even in support of ANC? What are the ANC political ideology? How can ANC get it done differently than what we had experiencing here before? Because we are going through this. This is not a first, this is not a second. How many of us have that tolerance and good political will judgment to accommodate these conversations in order for us to make a persuasive argument? Everybody tantrum pack. Everybody blood veins running through their head, temper rising, pressure going up. Cholesterol is over the roof because we are unwilling to have a civil national dialogue. You want it your way. As long as it is not done your way, oh hell no. That's not a conversation. And that's not what life requires. That's not engagements of rules in modern society. So we got to start checking ourselves as well. No respect for one another. Everybody that foolish people. Everybody talking nonsense. We don't want to hear her. We don't want to hear him. He's a Liberty partisan. He belongs to Musability. Nyambi Kangalaren. Joy, we are men. You hear how you talking? But we forgot to know. We are all under one roof. And that roof is the Republic of Liberia. The Republic of Liberia. All of these political parties and these guys, folks you call your political leaders, they will fade away. They will evaporate from the stage. We have seen that before. And it will continue to happen no matter what. Where is TWP? Where is the National Democratic Party of Liberia? Liberia Action Party? Where is Gabriel Boulay? Where is Jabaru Kalon? Where is Mr. People, your head of state, Mr. Head of State, your people, Kakura B. Boto of the National Democratic Party of the Republic of Liberia? They are all dead and gone. But one thing that survived is the Republic of Liberia. And that's what we need to understand. I am Alfonso Zin, so we are about to get a talking point going. Stay tuned. Okay, that's a little monologue that I to wipe our hands and our feet to welcome today's program. As usual, I'm Alfonso Ziensot of the Liberia Public Radio and LPRTV special open conversations on trending national issues in the country. You have been, not me, I don't want to put myself because I'm too, yes, you have been misled so big time by news outlet and think they can play on your intelligence. And this slogan that came off late, we're not stupid, but some people still stupid, that I can say, because they are unable to take charge in their own decision making. Nothing wrong with you. You didn't, unless you give your will up, unless maybe somebody is a guardian to you, but you should be able to make informed decisions about yourself. You should know your own way out, the direction, the path that you are leading to. That's very much important. Do not allow these people define you. They shouldn't determine your destination, because it is dangerous when you are defined by someone. You can adequately define yourself, because when they define you, they could potentially attract good pieces, good qualities of you, and half of you will be presented. And when that happens, it devalues your human capacity. So don't let anybody to define you. Your loyalty, your support to them is not that you are unable to make informed decision. And so that's their thinking. That's just how they think, that's how they think of you. Don't allow that to happen. In the bid to crystallize and synthesize the geopolitical conversations in the country, culturally, education, good governance, and all of these principal aspects that reflect modern society, Liberia Public Radio, in collaboration with Sky Communication Network in Liberia, in the coming days, week, month. We are still in a conversation, but what we do know is been finalized. Only to put hook on the start date. Coming on the Liberia Public Radio, the Liberian War Today. The Liberian War Today will be a special news magazine right here. It's on the Liberia Public Radio and will be echoed throughout the length and breadth of the Republic of Liberia on Sky Communication Network. And we are working, doing everything possible to also coordinate with other sister network. The Liberian War Today. We're going to look at social, economic, politics, development, good governance, all going to factor in right here coming soon on LPR and Sky FM in Liberia. 4 p.m. local time in Liberia and 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be the new prime time slot right here on the Liberia Public Radio. And I'm telling you, we're going to have scientists, researchers, educators, philanthropics, goodwill technocrats, Liberians, innovators. We're going to have them here. We're going to be, it's more or less culture. Everything going to factor in on this coming program. There are other good aspects of Liberia, and we need to inject that as well into our national conversation. It's not all going to be Yeke Koluba, Ibrahim Daradidon, Yamud Kanka. No. We're going to be having authors. There are a lot of Liberians here to write in books. And one of those is, if you have not obtained a copy of this book here, to urge your indulgence, Liberty Hijack. Liberty Hijack is a new memoir, is the bestseller on Amazon right now. It's written by one of the funniest, award-winning journalists, former Minister of Government. He's my own mentor as well. For full disclosure, Kai Gerald Ware. Liberty Hijack is on the stand. It's available right on Amazon. Yeah. So we're going to be tapping into the expertise of a lot of people here on the Liberian War Today, coming here on Liberia Public Radio. It will be right here every Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and broad daylight in Liberia, tapping into the expertise of innovators, educators, scientists, researchers, and all groups of people. They're going to be here. We're going to be having this sort of conversation, and that's what we need to know, and that's what we need to do. So I don't want to say it's going to come from the house's mouth. Another one is coming. This fragile educational process of systems in the country that is so contaminated, so polluted. Educators and scholars who are contributors on the Liberia Public Radio now are finding way out how to engage their brothers and sisters and other educators. Oh, the night is about to get off the rail. He's here, standing by, and I'm going to be bringing him very shortly. No bad bush for a child. You ever hear mother throw a child away because of a bad child? You will cost that child, you will do everything, but you will never throw that child away because they say there's no bad bush for a child. I am Afonso Zian. So let me leave New England and John Saxton, Sacramento, to bring in the most liberal on this network, the most liberal Liberian. For that, he chose to live in California, the most predominantly liberal state. My own state, Massachusetts, can even match the sort of liberal idea in California. He was here. I don't know what ran him out of here or who ran him out of here. He decided to move in California. And he's grounded. He settled down. He's working for the state. Not just on the talk show, but a professional, a technocrat. The only engineer, roadway engineer, highway engineer. He's from Town, Grandjita County, Republic of Liberia. He went to Monrovia. It wasn't enough. He wanted to advance himself. They used to be saying, I don't want to think I made something. I don't even know why hurtful it is. Those are something. Everybody, I might believe everybody should serve their country. You should do it with honor and distinction. He decided to forge ahead with his education. And we can be so upset because he has volunteered to offer his services and expertise. Sometimes he gets mad, mad because why are they not asking him? Why are they not willing to make him to come and help? He completed what? Maybe month, a year or millions of dollar breach. The man from Town. Let me bring in the liberal progressive. The only thing his liberal way of doing things is what can get me upset. But he's something very creative, innovative, jack of all trades. So now my car, I have issue, then he want to call me to do a video call or say, you're right. I'm going to go on my car. So when the car fall down on me, because I ain't going to get there, I have to go change oil. Then I will go tell and say something. Somebody will tell me, so you should have known better. Let me bring the liberal progressive for this evening conversation. Okay, the liberal progressive, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. So, and thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, let's see. Today is Friday. Today is what, Friday?
Yes, it is.
Is it usually it's a Friday TGIF? Thank God it's Friday, right?
That's right to say.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. How was the day today?
It was wonderful. Went to work as usual. Did our work. We barking on a new project over there that we were specifically requested for, based on our own way of doing total engineering. And I believe the people of North, they love total engineering. And we were specifically invited from this district. Another guy who is also from Congo. I think you heard of him. You've heard his voice before. He and I used to do broadcasts together, not in the studio, but out in on the job site. But he also is with me, and then we're going to be going there for.
Let me see. What his name again?
Tunsha, Robert.
Okay, Robert.
Tunsha.
Yeah, I don't know his Tunsha name. Don't start so soon here. We starting on a go 14 here. You wanna start bringing in something that you think you're gonna pull my hair. I know the Robert. How long you been hanging with this guy, Libra?
For the last 21 years, he and I have been together. And you see, he was in a different squad. I was in a different squad, and we eventually were taken to Marysville, which is about an hour drive from here. We did that for 8 years, and it's all because union rules, and it was bad what they did. But after that, they brought us back to Sacramento, and so he and I in the same squad now, and we've been collaborating together for a very long time. But we've been friends for almost 21 years or so.
Yeah, let me give this one that due you, but it doesn't suggest because I know you and know you well. What am I going to say here? The next thing you're going to capitalize on it and you think you're going to run with it to the rest to the end of the show. That's not going to happen. I'm giving it to you because it was a true confession. I want to say thank you for your tireless effort with respect to your exhibitions, your skill, to your knowledge about your willingness to help Liberia. I got a phone call today from inside Liberia of the display of your program from time to time, but yesterday seems to capture the imaginations and other people and what they are doing now. I'm not sure what it is they are doing it with honesty, but if it is honest, we will see that, is that guy, is he a Liberian? Yeah, I laugh with my mouth. What would I laugh with?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I laugh with my mouth. I said, why? Why would you ask that question? Are Liberians not competent? Are they not qualified? What are you talking about? Asafulai. And that's how exactly how I express it. That's the belief of the people back. Everybody here somehow, some way, they are nothing, they are insignificant to their country. I say yes. He's Frenchman says 100%, 100% Liberian. That's what he lived. That's what he lived by, and that's what sustaining him. And he has offered several times, million times, volunteer, let go to teach young engineers to give back to their country and his own willingness to help. He did a design for our country, not necessarily who was there, but for, and this is what many other Liberians here are willing to do. If you guys can just open up a little bit for those of you who are close or within the proximity of national leadership, it could be good. A lot of people will be volunteer to go and help in different forms and areas, teachers, engineers, doctors. I mean, and the list goes on and on. He doesn't want to believe it. Say you don't want to believe it, you better believe it right now, I'm telling you. So I just want to say, in this regard, I want to say thank you for your tireless effort. Even though we all have done that, sometimes I can want to expose the people and you say, no. That's what we can fall apart. But it's a clear indication to me that whatever we do here is not a waste of time. People are listening. You know, they are falling on some fertile soil. Maybe it's not people who will be a decision making, but that's how the process, that's how the whole thing starts. So I want to say thank you so much. But let me warn you, the liberal, saying this, what I'm saying now, that's not in uninformed or shit that you think you're going to put out a total cap here tonight and take a 10-speed and brown shoe run to think that you're going to be treated like a chicken egg. You're going to be equal, and we're going to have a real national conversation, so you know.
Well, thank you, Mr. So. On a very serious note, we do these things not because we hate whoever is running the government. If you watch my show, usually the way I usually start my government is to let people know that Dr. Weah is my president. He was elected for 6 years. And 6 years after that, we can do whatever we have to do if we want to dislodge him. And when I did my presentation last night, and I will continue to do that until these people recognize not about me knowing this stuff, but I want them to feel that these things, the way they're doing it, is not correct. If they just do it, everything that I talked about last night, all of the video that I showed last night, most of them were even from Spoon TV. And there's another lady who goes on Ralphie Highway showcasing Ralphie Highway, asking Liberians to come on the bill. But what she doesn't realize when she showed these areas, she's also helping me to show some of the bad construction process. And the other video of how things are to be done, you go on YouTube right now and just type the subject matter, and anything you type the subject matter in, you want to learn, they will come up, you know. And so our brothers and sisters, it's not like people are not trying their best to help them. We're all trying our best. And I think you can attest to that. How many times have I not reached out to many of these people? I just don't want to call names because I say I reached out to this person, I reached out to that person, especially now that election is coming up. I don't want anybody to use my words or try to use anything I say here to campaign against anybody else. That's not what I do. But I appreciate it. I appreciate you recognizing that. Coming from a conservative, telling a liberal you're good.
You see.
No, you can't do that.
You are
Coming
getting
from Mr.
around.
So, will you please let me finish my statement? Coming from a conservative and telling the liberal you did good, you are true liberal, and I'm just hoping that I can convince you to come my liberal way. But it's just a matter of time. Now that you have confessed tonight that the liberal did a wonderful job, and I also want to welcome you in the liberal world. Hopefully, we can work together, collaborate together, and get this liberalism business or higher up. So I want to thank you. I want to welcome you in my liberal world, sir.
You know what?
You got me take you. I know they play Tommy. I know they play Tommy sitting down and watching.
People, my audience, I was just joking. I was pulling here less. Now I see your true color. I told you are going to stand on something now to be like a King Kong. Well, no, I mean, gives flower to whom it is due, and sometimes I get mad. And but let me, I don't want to really get it in, but we have to talk it, and this is why things that are so important now. We need to capture those.
Mr. So, before you go on, do you know now that there is on Google Earth that you can do a street view now in Monrovia.
Oh, but you've been talking. It has not been there though, right?
No, it's there. Yeah, it just started recently. It just started recently. I just discovered that today, and I was so pleased. I was able to do the street view all over Gardnersville, all over across the bridge. I mean, it was just wonderful. It was. I think one of the good things here about that street view, once it become real popular, I think the government will be forced to face this role because everybody will see it, and it's not just the engineer. Everybody will see it.
Okay, it's an open store here now. You have injected something. Every English has its own terminology. More or less, it's a scientific word. The interpretation of street view, somebody will say, oh, but I can see that and see that other street here, but there's some hidden part. What is it all about? Google trying to do the if I'm talking to you as an engineer here, when someone is talking about street view, what are they trying to capture? What are they trying to say?
It's a Google Earth image where you will be allowed by Google willing allow you to zoom in an area of your concern and be able to see the streets and be able to pretty much virtually almost drive through the street. And so now it's there in Liberia where you can go.
Joyce, check your mail. The link is out there. Sorry, Mr. Togwai.
So where you can go on, and there's only a few places. It starts on Tottenham Boulevard, and then they cut off again, but then it picks up across the bridge, and you go through Freeport, and then it branch up to what's that boulevard that take you to Gardnersville? Secretary, what's the name of the boulevard? But anyway, the boulevard that take you to Gardnersville across the bridge when you go into Gardnersville. So they have some places. The guy who did it, the guy who perhaps I'm not too sure how he did it, with what kinds of arrangement he had with Google Earth, but the guy who did it, I believe he's a Liberian because he's seen an area you can see standing by himself in some sort of a building that perhaps he's constructing. But when I discovered that today, it was wonderful. You can't, but it's difficult. It's difficult to just go to any Google Earth. You have to go to a specific one.
So do they have like a voice over somebody?
No, it's just pictures. Just pictures. You know how they hasn't. I'm not too sure yet whether you will be able to do a direction on your phone or what have you. But they
what's that?
That's me for the
Why you always like to pick on people? This
but
is
who invited us me? Who inviting you on our show? Who invited us me on our show? Anyway, but
is he not a Liberian?
Does he have a long form of birth certificate? Have you seen it? Good evening to you too. You see that?
I never see it.
You see why I always fight with him? You see why you say that? But anyhow,
well, you know, Mr. Smith, he doesn't back down too. So
no, he just like you.
Just
like you. Two of y'all the same, no different. It's just like you. So, I'm not too sure if you can go to Liberia now and do how to call it GPS because these things work with GPS anyway. But I'm not too sure if you can do that now in Liberia.
But it was speaking different dialect, different language. So,
in Liberia?
Yeah, GPS works.
No, and it show you the direction and places like that.
And I mean somewhere else, man.
I never had that before. But
almost a certain border. I like no, they
okay.
a lot of me.
But what I can say here is that they're moving little by little. It's not enough, but the major streets, even red lights has that, and you can drive through and you see houses, and you see the worst of all is the amount of potholes that you will see across the bridge. And this guy did this thing on a Sunday. when there's not much traffic at all.
And that's a strategic
So
town.
that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. And so I encourage people to go and look at it now. And you should, because the more people view this thing, perhaps this guy that have, well, I'm not too sure what kind of arrangement you have with Google. But if people start watching more and more, perhaps that might encourage Google to do more in the city of Monrovia. Because from an engineering perspective, this is one of the best tools you can have if you can stay right here and even do a design, because you can see everything that you will see normally if you have gone to do a site visit.
Okay, so let's see the news making headline. The President of the Republic of Liberia is on his way to the Empire State to attend the 77th General Assembly section here. That's a big news. Political conversations ongoing. Other people say, with me, if it not me, it's a slap in the face. What are you hearing? Let's go and bring in from the far right. Legendary Amos George is joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. Well, call Amos name and your faith.
I just want to say that as you're bringing in the central right here this evening, I'm not here this evening. Let me warn both of you right now. I'm not here for kumbaya. I'm in my propose suit, and I'm not here to take prisoner tonight. And so, if you're talking about this government and about the head of our government, not our government, of our country, of the Republic of Liberia, you have to make sure the liberal is here. And I'm not here for Kumba here this afternoon. The president is coming here to the United States, and hopefully he will be welcomed by Mr. President Biden and his family of U.S. government. I hope they will recognize this young man and bring him on board, and perhaps they can listen to his side of the story, whatever it is he have to say, and maybe American government, as usual, might come to his aid and help him to unleash whatever poverty that is happening in Liberia, to unleash the resolution to those poverty. And I think the president coming here, all of us as Liberians must be proud. At this point, you don't have to be a seditious. I'm not a seditious, but I should be able to say here that I'm proud. My president is coming here. Whatever we have to do, when he leaves and go back home, we can do whatever we have to. You can't be in the city in a strange land and then we start making all these noise and things. That I don't agree with. He's my president. When he go back home, we will do what we can to make sure that he's not reelected. That's fine. But when he comes here to represent our interests, let's give him the ears. Let's clap for him. Let's welcome him as our president. He's the only president we have, and we only have one Liberia only, Mr. Soul.
In reality, you note America here, the diversity in terms of people.
I want you to put that diversity in a jar. I want you to pack that diversity until my president leaves. We're not going to go no diversity business. Put that thing together. We have one family, and he's our leader. And let's welcome our leader. When he leaves, we can deal with it. You're not going to bring that democracy, diversity business here. So you can't get my president. All kind of thing. I beg you.
So, your president business, my hand not inside this other toy, yeah. How can an old man who will be the real old man? I can say that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, Mr. George, good evening, welcome.
I'm the soul and I'm the two.
Thank you, Mr. George.
Or listening.
Yeah, news is what happens simultaneously is what makes the news. We're going to come to other issue here, but it's fair to also pick on that. I'm just saying this to just unveil to the reality of life, because there are some other people who are planning to demonstrate. They have their own reason to. We don't know why you're going to use. They are also calling state leaders not to meet the president. Well, what I do know, the president, he does have a second trip here purposely for to meet. Then invitations, we're waiting to see the details of that invitation, but you know, I can for sure tell you for this one here is sort of untimely with the death of the queen and all of that. They're going to be going there, but what should we be watching out for? What should we be looking for? You as a Liberians, and I agree with you I might be different with the president on policies issue, but at the same time, I want my country to succeed because there are a lot of distractions in the country, tensions that is also helping to pressurize you and myself and many other Liberians outside of the country with respect to the living standard and what is unfolding now. So with it, the advanced delegation being here for a couple of days or maybe week now, what I don't see happen most often, and I'm not sure how their traveling protocols work, the essence of president having a big entourage coming for them to also find their counterparts. Like this one here, there are two major global issues they are about to discuss, security and all of that. You could use that time to tap into the expertise of other countries, leaders, or counterpart security personnel. Find people of different businesses and people that want to be there and see what sort of side of attractions that you can get. So it shouldn't just be only the president, and it shouldn't just be only photo shooting and stand in front town square or whatever buildings in New York there or in Washington D.C. and just get a sort of nice picture and you think, yeah, it's time to lobby. It's time to give your side of the story, what is being coming out. They will also listen. It's time to make friends with congressional leaders, the caucus, even be it a Republican, to the Democrats, those that work in the bipartisan context, to meet these people. But this is not happening. What do we think, or what do you surmise to see that we get any sort of surprising information unusual than what has been happening? Let me start from the far right, Atlanta, Georgia, to where Amos George is standing by. Mr. George.
Yeah. No, I don't see any big surprise in
What
this.
do you mean by no? Why you always your answer always start with no? Why no?
I mean, it's just a premise of the question, and I just have to be direct. This is not strange. This is no news. Every year, presidents from around the world are invited to New York for the General Assembly. President Weah, this is his fourth time coming here, or the third, fourth time now. And he been here, we're not seeing no major changes. He come, everybody
nothing.
What's
the definition of major changes?
What do we get after the president visit addressing the UN? The last time he was complaining. He complained. Okay. And this one, security, yeah, he better speak on the issue. Well, at the end of the day, what is the dividend? What do we get from the president visit to the UN? I believe it will be the same thing. And look what they did. The president come to the UN and then they recorded the ambassador from Washington.
There are so many informations we are hearing about George Patton, who has been recorded by the government.
Yes. Even I don't know what the reason, but you're coming to the UN, and at the same time you're recording the ambassador from Washington. I don't know what they advise going into that to do that, but I think if I saw who had a president, I would have told him to wait. Like he attended summit, go back and do the recording. Well, look what happened. He had recorded the ambassador. Even if he here, how effective will he be now? He's being recorded. So what do we expect? I don't see anything different. Yeah, he will speak on the issue, but this is not where you come to appeal to the United States government directly for assistance. No. This is just a annual thing that every head of state or president must attend. I mean, who wants to come, they can come to address the assembly on the issue. But there's nothing that you would say there that directly that would tend to have a positive impact on Liberia. If you want to, you have to take a visit to visit the president of the United States, then sit down and make your case and appeal for what you want.
Okay, let's put short pants on this quickly before I go to Liberal, meaning there's no significance to this coming. Like you said, nothing going to happen, nothing going to change. That's not the first, that's not the second. Is that your argument?
are not, I won't say significant. Normally, they will speak on the issue. But in terms of security, the person will speak on the, I don't know what the topic will be. He'll speak on the security. The next year, maybe global warming, whatever, they will talk about it. But this is a norm, and this has been the trend. He comes here, speak on issue, go back home. We don't see anything from the UN that based on the president's visit or the issue that he addressed.
Okay.
As the result, this is why it's happening in Liberia. No.
All right. We are 3 odd number. We are about to accelerate to make it an even number, fair balance. And I'm going to be the judge to break the gap where necessary. Unfortunately, we don't take a vote here. Let's go to Minnesota and bring in our scholar. He's a senior contributor of the Liberia Public Radio. Mr. Sisi Goya is joining us from Minneapolis. Let's just break in here to make the conversation more interesting.
I just wanted to tell Mr. So, we are living in a free democratic world. If any citizen wants to go to New York to protest against President Weah, it is the right. It is the right under the Constitution. So you can't say because he come here, nobody should say anything. Nobody should say anything to us. No.
How would I say that?
It is a citizen right.
No, he's not talking to you. He just missed the name. That's all. He's referring to me.
I said, Mr. Toe. Mm-hmm. It is the right of any citizen, Liberian, to go to the General Assembly to protest against their leader.
But I'm still going to say this before I address your comment, Mr. Central Right. Let me just agree with you on the situation about the recalling of the ambassador. As I've always say, and I continue to say, CDC and this government, they're very good at putting their foot in your own mouth. Your coming, your visit has been controversial. People have been talking about it all over. Everybody, people are cited. Other people are planning demonstration and everything else. You have 3 members of your cabinet sanctioned, or of your government sanctioned, and on top of all of that, you and a few other Liberians officials are traveling. But yet still you see reason before you left that you have to recall an ambassador. So that recall now becomes the headline instead of your traveling being the headline. You're traveling now, and within the next 2 or some more day will be in the background. Now, those who are formulating some sort of a protest or what have you, that this recall will even be part of their talking point. Why would you do that? This is something they're always good at. They're very, very good at that. Whenever something good is happening, they will put their foot in their own mouth. We saw McGill making a statement, ridiculous statement in Banga. Where was the president? He was in Ivory Coast celebrating with the Ivorian, being recognized as a leader, peers leader on the same stage. And what happened here? His deputy is saying not deputy, whatever. But it's saying that even if I corrupt, I spend the money here. These are things that they always do this. Now, Mr. George, I want you in your expose, which is okay with me. Liberian, we all have the right to do and say whatever we want to say as long we don't infringe on other people's rights. So if you're going to sit here and say Liberians have the right to go to New York or whatever place to demonstrate against their president, I agree with you 100%. And in that vein, sir, if I should remind you, I have not been asked a long-form birth certificate yet. I am from Liberia, Town specifically. And so if, according to you, Liberia have the right, I too have the right to express myself the way I see fit. You don't have to agree with me. And I say again, from my own traditional background, you don't have your father going out of town. Then you'll go out of our village, just try to make noise so that people, when your father leave or somebody leave from your town to go to the village, all of you, whatever confusion that is happening, you are quiet. You are quiet because the man is going in our village to represent your interest. And in my own traditional way, when the man come here, I zip the thing, I praising so that he will look good among his people, among his friends then. But we Liberians, we tend to forget those kinds of things.
No,
One minute we want to say, Mr. Center, right
don't
there,
brush.
is speaking.
Don't
Mr. Center,
Let me finish your point. You're done.
what's going on here? What is this? What you? Oh, you're not starting internet. You're not starting internet. When the central while I was speaking, you don't say nothing. I'm speaking now, you're talking, you're not saying nothing. You're starting. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for two of you here tonight. No one part that not we on it. So, Mr. So I think the Liberal is on the floor. Are you guys ready to shut me up? You have the mic, you control the mic, you can shut me up. That's what you'll do. And you'll praise each other. You and the Central right there, after that, they'll start laughing and praising each other. But I'm ready here. I'm here tonight. But let me make this point. And so when my president that the Liberian people gave me for 6 years, he got 1 more year before I kick him out. I'm going to vote against him. But in the meantime, he's coming here. I will zip it and say nothing because I want him to look good among his friends then, so that when he ask for 2 cents, the person will, but look at Liberian people say they're behind the man. You're not getting the 2 cents. That's what I want. Then when he leave, go by, they will start all yo stuff. That's my point. But I'm not saying like, why you putting Victor Smith? Jesus Christ. Yeah, man. Look at what you're doing. You're something else. Oh, Victor Smith and join you from Liberia. Victor Smith and join you from. I say I'm ready for y'all. Y'all ain't ever me. But anyway, let me just say this. So, Mr. Central Right, let me just tell you this. I say me. I don't say you. Me. While my president were here the last time, I shut up. He come here again, I will shut up. When he leave, I will start. That's the way my culture from Toton. That's how we do business. Thank you.
Okay, just make your notation. Let's welcome our man. Sister is keenly listening. I just asked a simple question. I'll come in. You don't worry. You're down. I'll come in. Let's just say way in here. Yeah. They started first here. They were, and I was just looking at how long John can stay on MA. They agree, but by the time I go look, the Liberals already sticking his wings to fly. And I was just asking a simple question what our own anticipation. So what do we expect? What could be the game changer? To what could be the pivotal point? 2 major issues, but we also understand that the president will be going to the Queen, and we do know that the president will be coming for the second time here. But you listen to the 2 gentlemen here. Where there's a line of, where do you have any line of demarcations, or do you see any game changer as the result? And I was just giving the monologue, the reason to come with a huge enterprise for them to look out there to their counterpart and have some dialogue, conversation, hey, I need to know you. You're from Sweden, you're from Netherlands, you're from this place, you're from that place. How can you help? And exchange, share notes and something. But we don't see that besides exhibitions and photos for the most part, and nothing comes out of it. When you bring a maritime commissioner and people here, I expect you to have some top business tycoon, and in the quickest time to see visitations as the result of the visit. It's not happening most often. But let me ask you here, let me get your take. That's the news. The president is coming, and we are hearing other people going to exercise the democratic principles, whatever, to express the disenchantment of the president visit, not to meet the people, blah, blah. We don't know all of the details. But what are you concerned with, and what you hope to see happening?
So I appreciate being on. Sorry for being late. I had some issues to deal with, and my apologies. But look, everybody has their right. Mr. Toe from Totan has the right to not protest, and Mr. George from Bonkande has the right to call for protest. Now, we all have the rights of our opinion, but we don't have rights to our own set of facts. I don't know which culture the liberal progressive is talking about. Tradition says that when your father, who is irresponsible, is a deadbeat, leaves the town and you cannot talk about it.
Hey, Jesus.
Yes, I am a cultural man from Lofa. But when we talk about respect, it's almost like how in the Bible people always run to children, obey your father. But they forget that when they talk about that, there's a responsibility on the father to be a father. You cannot say, oh, it's tradition. Yeah, it's tradition. But our tradition calls for our leaders to not be deadbeats. Our tradition calls for our leaders to not be thieves, to not steal from national coffers, to not allow the downtrodden to cry out to the heavens for help, for justice, because the leaders on earth don't offer them justice. And so when you abscond all of your responsibility, when you outsource all of your responsibilities as the leader, as the father of the nation, you cannot expect to enjoy the benefits when you don't share in the responsibilities. Now, having said that, I agree that the president, when he travels with an entourage, it ought to be very selective. It ought not to be haphazard. You have to decide, who am I carrying on my trip, and what are they going to do? What are you bringing back? What are the Liberian people going to get? What is the bang the Liberian people going to get for their bucks of flying you and putting you up in lavish hotels and feeding you? What are the Liberian people going to get back? Look, I just saw on Facebook as a propaganda from the government where they're posting pictures of Eugene Nangbe. Apparently, he don't have a big shrimp this time. He ain't got big chicken with him this time. And Pishota City. And they are talking that, they made their case. But there is not a video. I would expect when our people are making their cases in front of their counterparts. They like some video for others here. Say, oh, yeah, we send some real smart people over there. Don't go stand and take a picture of one or two white people and put it. Also, they made a case for Liberia. And I can't see the case that you made. I can't read nowhere. You have not published the speech you made in its written form. You are not giving me excerpts in video form. Nothing. You just get these, these blind lawyers. They made a case for Liberia. Why? How? Because you took a picture with two white people? So we have to be very careful. And if you're bringing a maritime bus, that maritime commissioner has to show us that they're meeting with people that, that are going to boost the maritime sector in Liberia. And show us when you're making these intellectual, engagements. You bring Pisota City. Pisota City has been coming so many times to the United States with the president. How often have we had people go back to help the gender ministry, or what has the gender ministry done differently since Ellen Sirleaf's time progressively? We still have rapes and sexual violence of our women and our young people, and she's not doing anything about it. And mind you, this is somebody who was educated here in Minnesota at Metro State University, and she got her degree here. She got her training here, but she goes back to Liberia and doesn't implement it, and comes here for workshop and doesn't carry anything back. Nothing changes. So why are they wasting Liberian money? The last time I was on this show, I think when you talk about somebody talked about calling the office of the vice president of the United States not to meet with George Weah, and I said I will not participate in that. And I said I give the George Weah government certain things to do. They got to make sure they fire these officials. Now, the officials are gone, but he didn't fire them. And now they are gone, but we are hearing that they are planning on running for office, which would be the greatest middle finger to the United States. And so I think it is okay for us to say, we want money to go back to Liberia. But the George Weah government has not shown to me, at least to convince me, that if I go and say, let me allow 2 cents to go to Liberia, that those 2 cents will be used for our people in Tota or in Zaza. To date, the data that we have shows that those 2 cents will go to building more condominiums for the president, or goes to building more condominiums for the vice president, or whoever, or the first lady. So I would say, let my tax money as an American taxpayer stay here until the George Weah government can get its act together. Don't give them no money. And I will be supporting anybody that decides to protest against the president, because the president has not shown that he wants to be the father of the nation, a responsible father of the nation.
Okay. The conversation is getting quite interesting. Let's make it proportional here. The Liberal seems to frown on it. He's tired, jittering with aim. movements of arms, legs, and all of that, as if somebody is colluding against India. Liberal.
Mr. So, I'm glad that we're having this conversation tonight. It's an interesting one, but I'm not surprised. This too is Liberia. This is how we behave. Liberia Lone Star will leave to go to Ghana, and there will be people while they're in the air. And the children will get flogged, man. They ain't know nothing. Look at kind of where they were playing ATF. They can't even pass the ball. They didn't reach you. They stay in the air. They stay in the air. Literally, the president of the Republic of Liberia is in the air as we speak. And now people are already as educated as he is. Intellectual at the highest level. It's always already telling us what will happen in 2 weeks. Oh, I know these Liberian people, they also got crystal ball, they can look out. Wow. But anyhow, this is Liberia. This is Liberia. Mr. So what I can say to this is this. Like I said before, CDC, I'm not here to defend the government of CDC. Please, far from it. But one thing I do know, they put their foot in their own mouth before, and if they're doing something today, if CDC were to do something good, and people say, oh, they want to that they go before the 24-hour over, one of the insider will put their foot in their mouth. Why would Pisota and Nambe come out and say they make? What case have they made? You're talking to young people, young Liberians, educated Liberians, highly qualified Liberians here in it, and you think you're going to come? They're not total people you're talking to here. Why would you do this to us and do it to yourself? People are now going to be questioning your even motives. Whatever you do now, from now on, it's going to be questionable because you already started the foolishness. What case have you made? What example? Who did you meet with? What are the records? You're going to come in and say, we made a case. What case? Oh, you made a case for McGill to steal more? Is that it? I can interpret. I can put in anything I want to put in there in making a case. But that's, for me, that's not the issue. Let me go back to the president on a very serious note. He was elected, duly elected. I don't agree with him on many policy issues, but he was elected for 6 years. And my culture, and that you guys can question me on that, that's okay with me. It really doesn't matter to me. But I also believe that when somebody who you, and if whether you agree or not, but this is a person that Liberian people have given us. So if we're going to sit here and say, well, what he's coming here, what are some of the things, what are the tangible that we should be expecting from him? Let's wait. The president arrive. Hopefully, he will have a press conference where he will express, I'm entitled to be happy. I'm entitled. What are going to happen? I'm entitled to my happiness. I'm entitled to. Let me dream. Let me dream. My people, let me dream. So the president will come here and have a press conference and allow people, the press, to ask him questions. What are you here? What are we? Then when these kinds of things come about, we will say it. But until then, for us to now, and I'm not going to say speculate, because this man doesn't speculate. He's highly educated, so his speculation doesn't go with his. I don't want to take it. I don't want to be taken to the clinic here tonight. It's Friday night. I want to enjoy myself after the show. So I'm not going to use words that I know he will come back and scrub me with those words. So I'm not going to use that. So, but for us to sit here and say, instead of us to say, let's see what the president going to do. He's our president. Once he comes here, he knows the challenges in Liberia. Once he comes here, perhaps he will put those type of challenges in front of the international community. And perhaps there will be somebody among these presidents who have the money, they will want to help us. They continue to help us. But maybe the president will come. Not now for you to say that people will make the case. The president has not even opened your mouth yet. They don't say you'll make case. What case you'll make? For you to eat lobster more?
Mr. Sewell, can I make a point real quick, and I'll let
Mr. George come. Yeah.
yesterday, all yesterday, Mr. Thor had a show here where he talked about engineering. So Mr. Thor wants us to believe that as engineers, we shouldn't make data-informed decisions. Because when I say I haven't seen to date the president's ability to do well, and so people shouldn't give him money, that is based on data. If people start to grade the road on RIA Highway, and you see that they're not, they like you said, they're using wheelbarrow and diggers, and they're using wheelbarrow to hold the dirt, you already know that that's not going to be a good thing. When you see them bringing in low-grade steel, you already know that that's not going to be a good road. You don't have to say, oh, let me wait. Even though they're using wheelbarrow right now, they're digging this thing, the manhole is not even proper. Let me wait. Even though the steel they're bringing to right now is substandard, let me wait and see after we put all this substandard together. Maybe somehow we'll go to church and pray that Jesus will make the road work. That's what you're telling me as an engineer? I am telling you that we follow patterns as engineers and mathematicians. You look at patterns. That's all math is. That's what engineering is. It's patterns. And you make changes. You don't say, oh, I see that this man has not been good with money. The man came to office in less than 6 months. He broke down his rotting house on the 9th Street, used public funds to build it. He built 49 condominiums. Jefferson called you there who were broke butt houses, and they harmonized people benefits and salary, and they enriched themselves. And there is evidence, according to the United States, that these people are thieves. And his best friends and his chief of staff has been indicted. And the president refused to speak on that since the sanction. The president has not delivered a serious message, policy message, administrative message to the people of Liberia. We're waiting for America to make the case to us. His people are in Liberia that need him to make the case. The president should have had a press conference in Liberia to make the case in Liberia for a soft landing in the U.S. Had he had a press conference in Liberia, say, here is what I'm going to do. After the sanctioning of my chief of staff, after the sanctioning of my son Bekube Jr., after the sanctioning of my chief prosecutor, here is where the government stands. Here is where we think. He didn't say any of that. And we're just supposed to say kumbaya and go to fucking clock church and pray that when you can, he will change because you're riding the 737 or 747 to come to the U.S. Patterns has told me that data, as a mathematician, data has told me that this man is incapable of doing that. Ergo, therefore, I'm making a decision based on the available data. I don't want to say, let the own will go and go pray to church, because for me, I believe in data. And the president has shown that he's incapable of at least A, firing people who have been found to be thieves, or at least B, making a play to the Liberian people and telling them, my people, here is what the U.S. government said, here is where we stand. I'm going to the United Nations. These are the things I'm going to speak about. We should wait for him to come to UN first and start to go.
So how many times you gonna stuff this one bottle of mine tonight? Can you rest a little bit? I mean, this is. Go ahead. I'm sorry. We
don't want to do like the other people in my last year. I intend not to call in here. Let me bring in Amos Joyce here, and then we're going to be switching gear. But there's another component that we're attached to it. Amos George and the Liberia for the first time seems to concur, and we get your take on this, Sissy, whether you're going to form a coalition here too. That I'm not sure as to why the president is coming and the ambassador to accredited near the capital was recalled. I will respond to that, but let me go to Mr. George was sort of brought into this. Amos George, go ahead.
Look, a pig is a pig. This statement is a pig. This is not the president first time coming to the UN. He has been coming. What do we see after the meeting? Last year, Eugene Nangbe was here. He said he was coming to talk to Maritime, official Maritime, coming to. How Sender went back? How many times Eugene or Nangbe had a press conference to tell the Liberian people, as a result of our last visit, we met with also people in the maritime area. So these are the benefits that we're getting. When last you saw that press conference on Eugene Nangbe? Zero. Instead of he ride a $97,000 car, according to his former deputy. Pisota, rape is one of the burning issues in Liberia. domestic violence. Those are critical issues. And the UN is dedicated towards fighting domestic violence, rape, and other forms of gender abuse in every country. When last do we see Pisota addressing the press that as a result of our visit, this is what we have now to help to fight this epidemic, I'll call it, in our society? Zero. So to say that we should just sit down, oh yeah, the president coming, yeah, he coming on our dime. People cannot afford. Certain people in Liberia cannot afford 3 meals, 2 meals a day. But the government of Liberia taking that money to send people to come to speak on our behalf, to seek other areas that will improve the lives. We don't see anything from there. And you telling us, oh, tradition. I don't know. If my father beating me by sleeping hungry, he turning his back, I will gossip about him. I will gossip about him. So the president coming here, that we hate him, but we differ on policy, how he's running the country. 3 officials of his government were sanctioned. He suspended 3 of them after 1 week. And then we start piling pressure. Now he should fire them. Reluctantly, they resign. Is that the end of the story? No. I expected the president to call his justice minister and turn him over to the justice ministry and say, let's with the U.S. government or the Treasury Department to assess you, to establish the corrupt attitude of these people. If they are exonerated, fine. 0. So you're telling me that the people resign, so it means that everything is over? No, that's lack leadership. And these are the things we talk about. This part, that's the due process. That is the due process. Let it go and face justice. So they can be, if they are vindicated, fine. But today, tomorrow they'll be justifying it. Oh, they say ask me money, but I'm not guilty. And some of the things they talk about is listed in the paper. You and I know that Nataya Manke was a recruiting ex-general in Monrovia, live on TV. Ofri Daniel, General Power then. He brought people from around the country to Monrovia. What was his purpose of bringing this ex-general to Monrovia when they said that these people should not be playing around power? What was the thinking of Nataya Manke? Serena Seaforth. He said that the case he had against Mr. Cummings, it was a boss man. And you know the congressman here said it was a Trump case. But yeah, but they decided to pursue that case. At the end of the day, they dropped the case. They say they could not continue the case. These are things when you're doing as leader on your watch, people will question your ability to lead the country. But for you, where you are, you don't pay taxes in America. So tell them, I pay taxes. I know Cesar pay taxes. I know Mr. So pay taxes. So if my one is going somewhere.
So hold on a minute. You said who don't pay taxes? The liberal?
California does not pay taxes.
No, we're not taxing too. Not California.
And New Hampshire live free, die free?
Yes. So,
oh my goodness.
When the United States government is sending one cent to any country, I have the right to question that country leadership. It doesn't have to be Liberia because what? I pay tax. Sister pay tax. Mr. So pay. So we cannot sit down here and people in Liberia, few group of people, grab everything that the U.S. government will send and our people don't benefit. And when those people come here, we should be cheering them. No.
Okay. We will be, before we switch gear, let me give the Liberal to respond, and I will get Sister reaction with respect to the recall, and I'm going to switch topic here. The Liberal, you seems as usual, your guys pounding you here. Don't
Well,
implicate me.
no,
I'm not.
not at all. Not at all. I'm the liberal. I have responded to
I'm
everything
not
they
part of
are
this
giving.
cry this evening. I've been kind,
Mr.
nice.
Mr. So, are you taking side? Or you supposed to be neutral in this conversation? Are
I
you
am.
already taking side? Are
No,
you
I
already
am.
well, if you are, then let me make my peace, because it seems like you're already taking side.
No,
And
go
you're
ahead.
very good at that. You're very, very good at that. So let me say this. Mr. Center Right, I agree with you. It's your tax money. I also pay taxes here in California. And in fact, California is one of the higher tax base in the United States.
Oh.
And so I pay heavy. I pay almost 50%. And I say almost. I also have the right to say, American government, give Liberia any amount you want. I say so. It's my tax money. If Dr. Weir come to you and beg you for anything, give it to him. Whatever he asks, give it to him. Whatever you ask that you can afford, give it to him. Let him take it to Liberia. I have the right to say that. I'm a taxpayer too. So as the same way you and Sissy and the rest of you pay taxes, and perhaps you want to question the motives of anybody, I say, President Biden, don't even question Dr. Weir. He comes here and asks you for money, give it to him. And let him do what he have to do for the people of Liberia. My people, our people are suffering. I understand and I agree with most of the sentiment. I agree with most of the things you guys are saying here tonight, because these people, they have track records, and their track record is very difficult to defend. And that's not what I'm doing here tonight. I'm just saying to all of us as Liberia, however long the president gonna be here, let's hold our peace for once. I'm not saying rally around, be the praise singer like the other people will do, but let us see what this, and I agree with you, Sissy, they have track record, and their track record doesn't bode well for you to be patient. Their track record does not require or even ask you or even beg you to be patient. They come around and then put finger on their mouth, telling people to shut up. And these are people that I'm asking here tonight. These things, they bother me as well. But I'm here tonight as liberal to say, even though their behavior resembles whatever it is, but I'm saying to you, let us all be patient. And let's see, this president, this is his last term, as far as I'm concerned. Let's see exactly what when he left from here the last time, he didn't say anything. He got the Ralphie when people ask him about that walk up, you're waiting for. You want to walk up, you go get it yourself. Why he was here in the United States? This is the man who went during campaign. He campaigned on it. So I understand all of those things. But let us wait to see what the president has in his bag, to see even if he's going to allow people to ask him questions. And if not, we have time. We have time. But let's see, he's our president. I'm not being like some of those praise singers who say don't even say anything. That's not my point. But I'm just pleading with many Liberians to say, let's give this man the chance. Let's see, now that he's going to be meeting with the president of the United States.
Is he meeting with the United States?
Not this trip. In December.
No.
Hold on. I said, Mr. Central Right, and the one else means we don't know. I'm speculating. I'm entitled to. Let me speculate. Please don't try to. Why you guys want to get into my grade? Mr. Central Right, I'm entitled to grade.
A pronouncement when you don't have any evidence.
So what is it? Is it a code of law? I said, no. I'm entitled to speculation. I'm not entitled to my opinion. I'm not entitled to speculate. Why you want to hold me? Mr. Central Right. No.
You are definite, and that's why I will call you. I'm not calling
you.
Okay,
all right.
Hold on 1 second. Thank you for hold on 1 second. Liberal.
Yes.
Because you made a pronouncement, and this is LPRO.
Whose side you on? Whose side you? Because you're taking side now. So whose side you on now? You already take his side.
Don't
Whose
do
side
this,
you
man.
on your
Hold
conversation?
on, I'm going to
This
ask you.
old man is very first in the act of diversion.
Yeah,
He's
he
not
always
broken
comes
act
from.
of diversion.
He calls me Donald Trump, but he more or less Donald Trump. He comes all the way here to
No,
help
I'm
and
just
be
saying
diplomatic.
you
So let me
started the
ask you,
program.
no, hold on. I try to get this law off your head. Was that a slip of tongue?
Mr. Soul, you can't say the liberal is unable to control his mouth. Please let me go on. If you want to take a side as usual, you can go ahead. Because you came out here and make a pronouncement to the public that tonight we're for here, but I'm going to be the neutral president. And now we can see your neutrality is becoming to fade away, and we know exactly which way you're going. So let me make my point. The point here, Mr. Center Right, is this: if the president, I say if the president comes here and say going to meet with the president of the United States, please, you don't have to clap for him, but let's give him the opportunity and let him meet with the president and see what he's going to get out of it. Who knows? He might be going home with another list of sanctions in his back pocket. You don't know these things. I don't know that. But I'm saying this is the man that people give us. So if he's coming on a war stage like this, we shouldn't try to cut his legs. Let us prop him out. He's our president.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Let's take a quick break so you can get a glass of water. When we come back, we'll be asking senior contributor Cecil Boyard the argument by Amos George and the Liberal Progressive. The recall of Ambassador Patent, is it timeless? Should we just jump and make a conclusive analysis? The government, because the president is coming, so there can be no recall. Let's take a break, gentlemen. We'll be right back. Well, folks, coming soon on the Liberia Public Radio, Liberian World Today will highlight social, economic, politics, good governance in Liberia. That's Liberia Public Radio and Sky FM and a major news content sharing. The program kicks up. It will be every Sunday right here from the New England Bureau, hovering over the length and breadth of the Republic of Liberia, or high call issue present in the country. Your host, Alfonso Zienso, will be right here with a team of analysts, professionals, educators, scientists, researchers, be discussing a wide range of issues. That's Liberian World Today, coming soon on the Liberia Public Radio. Stay tuned. Okay, let's come back to our conversation here with time check 9:28 Eastern Standard Time. We want to bring our analyst and contributor to right here. Let Mr. George come. So, Ceci, there was an argument made initially, and I want you to respond. Then we're going to go to different point of conversation here. The argument, Amos George from the far right and the liberal seems to be agree that the recall of Ambassador George Patent, they see it probably as a wrong decision. We do not know all of the details besides what is filtering in the news cycle. But does it matter? Timing? It's a sovereign government. We don't know whether there was a field diplomatic channels and all of the details administrative. So we don't know. Usually, in the recall of a diplomatic, and you will never see it will not easily come onto a certain time. But I up to say, okay, because the president coming, so there cannot be changes, cannot be effected within the diplomatic enclave.
Well, so I like to answer that question by drawing on what the Liberal Progressive said about this foot in mouth disease that the CDC government seem to have. They always shove their foot way down their own throat. The president is coming to the General Assembly, but what are the news items that are competing with that narrative? In Liberia is Brussels Air and the airport issue. Now you leave their home and you come to America, it is the recall of your ambassador. So In both places, you put your foot in your mouth. The president has the right to recall any ambassador. That is his right. We give him that right when we voted for him collectively as Liberians. But I keep saying on this show every time, not everything that is your right is the right thing to do. Now, the most important ambassador that Liberia has is the ambassador accredited to the United States plenipotentiary to Canada and Mexico.
Right.
You recall that person while on your way to their country. So who does the diplomatic maneuvering for you on the ground while you here? You already are telling the people that, yo, man, I don't trust the fella here. So now when you are here and there is a diplomatic thing to be handled, do you still expect people to go to the guy you just recall, or should they call you directly now? Because the other person is not here yet. So my point is that unless this was because of treason, which of course everywhere they would have announced it, what is so despicable that the ambassador has done that the president could not wait until he leaves the UN General Assembly, just so that you're not creating competing newscasts for yourself. Right now, what is competing with his coming to the UN General Assembly is the Brussels airline issue and his unceremonial recall, at least what it looks like, of the ambassador, the most important ambassador that Britain has. So yes, I would agree with the Liberal that the CDC government seems to have a foot in of disease, and they always shoving their foot way down their own throat. And this is an unforced error. They did this to themselves. Like, you could wait. You could definitely wait.
The president do have counsel.
So let me just add something on that, if you don't mind, please. And that is one of the things that I just recognized, and I hope the folks themselves will know this man been ambassador for all these years. He has insight, he has contact within the U.S. government. There might be somebody within the U.S. government that like him, somebody that he has had relationship with here in the United States. And this guy, not just the ambassador, I believe he used to work in the diplomatic corps before.
You were at the EU. Yeah, you were at the EU.
And most of the ambassadors, most of the government officials, they themselves, they work in the area. And for you to recall him in such a time when you're visiting, do you know what that would do? Do you know now who's going to frown on it without even telling you that they're frowning on it? And they might tell you one time for you to meet with them. These are people that perhaps would have made your meeting with whoever you want to meet in the United States, would have made it much, much easier. You wait until you leave when everything is said and done. But now you're going to do this here. You're going to go to the place, to the UN, and hopefully the Liberian ambassador, who was supposed to perhaps escort you and sit side by side with you, making you more welcoming in the United States, that chair going to be empty. Who are you going to put in there? Samuel Twere?
They designated somebody. But what is important here?
But there will be no credible business, because when he talking to the police at Sister Stadium, they will say, hey, but you're leaving. So it will not be business as you.
As long you record everything right there.
Mr. So, a bigger point though is that ever since Kimaya left as Liberia permanent representative to the United Nations, we don't have a permanent representative to the United Nations. And now you recall the ambassador in America. So you're going to the United Nations without a permanent representative and a recall ambassador.
So the question becomes here, and there are other things we're going to touch on here. They are counsel to the president. And this, for the most part, we don't know. But what we do know that has been in the news cycle here, the relationship with Dala Kimia and Patton has been like a raft. It's not hidden, except those who not been following. And Patton being out there was the acquiescence of announced suspended and resigned Minister Nathaniel Fowler McGee. Now, he's been removed at the time the president is coming here. Is that enough to say there's getting to be a disconnect completely? Could that possibly be the reason why did the council to the president, hey, okay, we have a very important meeting to go to. We are looking at it from the outside world. We are now within the bare wheel to know what actually prompted this administration decision. But when we look at it philosophically, it's like a complete distraction because like you guys said, he is your eye. He's your direct representative. He want to press those buttons to say, hey, we're going to do X, Y, Z. Yes, someone is in that place, but have they presented their credentials to say that's not going to happen? It's not going to happen in the midst of all of this here. So why did somebody did not? And actually, it's the Minister of Foreign Affairs who is the chief diplomat for all of these people here. Why did somebody couldn't get to the president here quickly? Let's have it 30 seconds before we change here. Why did somebody couldn't get the boss to say, Mr. President, let's hold fire with this here upon our return, and you can fire. Maybe as soon as the plane take off from JFK or whatever you're going to be, or Washington D.C., be that Donald Trump. Why his name no, this former FBI guy.
Yep.
Not only that, he did it with a foreign minister too.
Yeah. Mike Pompeo, not Mike Pompeo. I mean the foreign guy. The guy was in California in your place on a special mission before he could.
Yeah, the FBI guy. Yeah.
What forgot his name?
His last name is Cummings.
Cummings. Yeah. Cummings, James or whatever.
James Cummings. While you're on the airport,
you are putting his full understand the place, man. You're 10 you just over. You can't carry the plane. You need to find a private plane. I had a call on the plane to go. Why somebody could not get the ears of the president or the council? You have counsel to the president. Why that didn't happen? 30 seconds quickly, Mr. Goya.
Well, man, you're asking me to find a cure for cancer, because the president, his council, how were those people selected? Were they selected because the president truly want to get counsel where you will have opposing views and the president can sit back and pick from the best? Or did he want people who would be part of his praise and worship at Fort Club? I think he picked people who will be part of his praise and worship. The pastor always picks the best praise and worship team because, he wanted to lead him to where he's going to preach. And I think that's what George Weah did to himself. And so now you got a group of people who will never find their conscience. And so they won't tell him. And so he won't know. Why will Maxwell Kimaya, and I'm going to blame this on Kimaya because he is the chief diplomat of the Republic as the foreign minister, why will he be advising the president on firing your ambassador to the country that you're going to? Why would that make sense? And why would my president, a very educated man with a master's degree from DeVry, not sit down and think that this doesn't make sense?
Look, seriously,
go ahead. I'll go to the Liberal.
The uptake is not good.
Liberal,
but let me tell you something. I think a month or two ago, they were complaining. They took picture of the ambassador yard in Washington that the grass had overgrown the place. In his yard, that means there was no money. So even with that, and people always want to blame people around George Weah. This man has a master's degree
from DeVry, very good university.
Yeah. So if even your counsel did tell you something, you can say, okay, listen to you, I will get back to you people. And sit down and ask yourself, you're going to visit, the time you're going to, the studio father that there, they say move the studio father. The men are supposed to host you. They say moving before you get there. Who not going to take you around? Who not going to take you around? I mean, common sense can't tell you people something. But again, wanted. So we got it.
Okay, Liberal, 30 seconds before we pivot.
Let Liberal tell why he laughing first though, because I got to speak and start laughing. I know that my speech is laughing at.
Maybe that me.
No, I'm not going to touch the master deal. All I know he's a PhD, Doctor Weird. That I can jump over the master and go straight to PhD. But no, Mr. So, all I can say in 30 seconds is that they're very good at that. They whatever you do, they never failed us ever since they came to power. And when Dr. Weir made a wonderful inaugural speech at the Anthony Tubman, at the new Samir Khan Stadium. When I was there, and I mean, people were crying pretty much. I too were crying at the time. But immediately that night, the inaugural ball, I mean, stories started coming out. What their intent was, how they intend to rule, how they intend. In fact, that same time you saw three pictures of Eugene Nabwe and other two other people, including Samuel Tua, putting their finger to their mouth. The next day, you saw them at all of them in a blue uniform, soccer uniform, dancing, singing the battle cry. I thought the election was over. From there, people started taking note. You know, Mr. So, I don't mean to take your time, but this, if you study Grand Jury Association, incoming of former President Houdini, I'm not going to call now, but this is exactly the kind of behavior they came in with. They came in without even, they thought, oh yeah, who the citizen? If you're not citizen, you can't stay in the office. Oh, you gotta go. You gotta go because you didn't vote for us. That kinds of behavior, as though people in Liberia, because they didn't vote for CDC, then they're no longer Liberian. And this is keep going. It's the same process. So because of that, every time they do something good, instead of them to recognize what they have done that is good, they will do something stupid. Always.
Okay, we are about to switch gears, and I'm about to make a comparison or some sort of analogy. I don't know what it makes sense. We're going to get your take, and hopefully we're going to find people with the legal mind, whether there's a violation or it's a crime. Well, we had a situation, GOL versus Brandon Samaka, because a crime was committed, and he was robbed out of his position to which today he's not sitting. Well, this time, another crime seems to be committed because based on the actions of the government of Liberia, GOL, suspended, then the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, who was the chief aide to the president, Chief of Staff, Nathaniel Fallow McGee. Well, it appears McGee is still in the fries. A lot of intense conversation is ongoing, according to folks close to a wide range of conversation ongoing, trying to make a new political decisions. Would that be a political suicide? And what impact does that have? And even if he's to come up with that position, is it a crime? Would the Constitution stop him? But in the meanwhile, his convoy or his nice BMW surfaced in the streets of Bond County today, where a lot of rumors and talking point ongoing, a political tactical retreat where he could possibly, we are saying possibly because we just do not know, inside conversation is going, that he is eyeing the senatorial seat of Bond County. But in the meanwhile, this is how it unfolded today in Greater Liberia.
This is Phone TV coming to you live from Bond County. We are here to report everything as we see it. So today, the former Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Mr. Nathaniel Fallow is here visiting the people of Bond County. And like we said, this is unconfirmed. This is confirmed that the people of Bond County are planning to endorse Mr. McGill to contest in the senatorial election come 2023. We're also getting unconfirmed information that the people
Okay, I just got a glass of water to drink. So, Bon County, Mount Gibby County, this conversation, we have had this before. Amos George, I'm going to start with you because it's right in your own backyard. You say you're going to be campaigning for what? Is that Melvin Cole? That's what they came to read. Like, is that Melvin Cole? You say you're going to campaign against him to tell the people of Bon County? Is that Melvin Cole or who? Who was that?
Melvin Cole is one of those.
So, and who else?
I haven't seen the other name, but let me say this.
Don't let your pressure go up.
No, it is sad, shameful, disgraceful to some of the people in Bon County, including some of the leaders. The Constitution gave the right of every Liberian anywhere to live anywhere. But there are some requirements of that Constitution that if you want to be representative, you must reside in this area for a period of time. That time ago, as far as I know, he not reside in Bon County. It was all night. They start building that house there. The question I want to ask my people:
does he have a property in Bon County though?
I see him with a house there, but it's all based on what they were planning. And this thing, it was orchestrated by George Weah, Nathaniel Mange, Melvin Cole. This was not for Nathaniel Mange to run as senator. They were carrying him to take over the MPP to replace Joel Howard Taylor. That's the information. But since the sanction came, that's the fallback plan on that. They want to carry him now to run in Bon as senator. But I'm making a arrangement that will be appearing 50-50 to take on them. Yeah. So when I say sad, this man got no attachment to Bon County. How many villages he get named in Bon County? Who knows him? But I said the other day to somebody from Bon County, I said, look, the U.S. Embassy must target Melvin Cole, Representative Melvin Cole. But he is the one that Mange is using to fund the money through him to carry on the clandestine activity in Bon County.
Somebody out there might say you some bitterness or you are hunting Representative Cole. Fair?
I'm not hunting Representative Cole. This guy is a liar, a thief. The man told the people in Bon County that when he let them, he will make Banga City to look like Dubai. And when they went to ask him, one of them, he said, "Oh, that politics." Can you imagine?
So
misguiding your people.
You're waiting for Banga to look at Dubai?
Yes, that they can't be that. That's what they were saying in Bon County. Can you imagine this guy?
Oh goodness!
This guy that insulted the vice president, the woman that made him today. And that's why I say it's also shame on the vice president.
Okay, quickly before we spin it around. There's a second attachment to the question. We saw Brandon Samuka Vrossi. You remember when the whole thing started, we heard from the government, from the president, that there were going to be a investigation. Yeah. As the investigation started, and the questions you guys remember, we had a conversation. Who's going to be the presider? Who's going to conduct this investigation? So on what basis did the government respond spontaneously to Uncle Sam action? Because Uncle Sam, let's say he's, for whatever reason, where there's federal dollar, US dollar, forget it. They will go after you. But you also have your side. There was no investigation prior to the suspension. And you say investigation are going to be conducted. We don't know whether the investigation is ongoing. Now he has resigned. Does that bring the end to the investigation?
No.
So this is a rhetorical question we're going to put out. Does that bring the end to the investigation? Or the GOL, the government of Liberia, is telling us the information provided by Uncle Sam are correct, and they might have it in their possession. And if it is the case, and we're seeing these sort of movement here, and we know how politics works, if he is for any reason to make a political decision to run, I'm wondering here whether NEC or whether the court system can stop him, because then it appears there was a crime committed This is what I'm finding it very difficult to understand. Quickly here, before I go to the other people, do you think crime was committed, or that whatever his resignation, his suspension, it doesn't have anything to do with what we are talking about here? He can run when he wants to run because he was accused under the American law, even though our country validated that and suspended him, and he has resigned. Is that enough? You can punish him 2 times?
No. It's not enough. Crime was committed as far as I'm concerned, because if crime were not committed, President Weah were not suspended and asked for his resignation. But what I'm saying, this is again the failure of the Georgia government to fight corruption.
So quickly for me, does that mean he cannot run for public office?
We have to define
your view.
For me, I would say that he must go through the process to vindicate himself. When he vindicated, he can run for public office. But with this, that's a crime. I mean, that's a cloud hanging over him. The government of Liberia must make sure let they have the day in court so they can be vindicated.
Okay, let me go to the other side of the wall in the liberal lane in California, because they are there to soften it. It seems to be there should be some sort of civil liberties violation here now, with the guy from the far right from Atlanta, Georgia. The liberal.
Yeah, Mr. So, thank you very much. I would take a different route. And this is just basically based on humanitarian process as far as I see it. This McGill man, I don't know him. He doesn't even know me. But from all indication, since the sanction, it seemed to me that he's a very selfish guy. He cares nothing but for himself. It seemed to me. The president, I just told you about CDC again. But this one is a little bit difficult to understand. You are sanctioned. And just a few days or a week ago, you were on TV somewhere, asking to clear your name. Asking that you didn't do this and people were lying on you and what have you. The president, he couldn't fire you, and every one of us were claiming all over you for you to resign. There's other people who say that perhaps the reason why the president not firing you because you know more and that you might name the president whatsoever. All kinds of stuff. And here it is. The ambassador in Liberia. You must well call in Liberians because he know about Liberia than many other Liberians here in the diaspora, as far as I'm concerned. You're going to go to Manga with a thing hanging over your head like this. And you're going to arrive in Banga as though you've already been elected. What is it that you're proving? You would think that McGill, as he prefers not to be guilty, that he will stay calm. That when these kinds of news comes out about him want to be senator, you will try to dispel that news by telling the public, that's not my interest. But instead, the president is on his way to the United States, where people are still speculating as to whether he's going to meet with the president or meet with vice president, whatever it is. And you're going to go to Manga looking like that. And you're going to be showing on international airwave, on social media. What exactly your comment is, McGill? Are you the same thing the last time that I asked? Why are you putting Dr. Weah in this kind of big mess all the time? All the times. This is what I suspect most likely will happen. His supporters, because I think these kinds of stuff, most likely Dr. Weah and many other people who are supporting him on not making it public, but they will be upset with these kinds of behavior. And I think the fact that he might find himself distancing himself from McGill. And that's why, and I think McGill is doing all of these. For me, it's a sign of revenge, because ever since he left, Dr. Weah now started gravitating towards the vice president. The vice president now, even Dr. Weah's so-called personal media people like Sekou Kalasco and all the other people, they are gravitating towards the vice president, writing good press about the vice president now. You don't hear people getting on air to curse the vice president, starting naming all of the boyfriend in the world she had. So now she's true now, getting closer to the president. And McGill now feeling being left out. He wants to do this here. Okay. And this is unacceptable.
Unacceptable. let me bring
the thing I can say on that. I'm not going to go into politics of it, but I just say as a friend who profess to be friend to this president, to do this, to put say in this president Gary why he's here in the United States, it's not acceptable.
Okay, there are a lot of revelations, and they yet to be true. Let me bring you in your CC. Bon County is contemplating of to petition him, which of course, when the people call you say can't do this, you have the right to do it, to say yes or no. Mount Gibby is also in the fry, so he's like he's a political high cake right now. But let's put on our thinking cap. Considering all that is unfolding around our own country in a real war, and the government, the president voice was added to say an investigation, he will be investigated. I'm saying that as a cardinal aspect of it. One, is the investigation ongoing? Who is conducting this investigation? What do we need to know as like in Liberian way with the prospects of this investigation? Two, what is all these political exhibitions, what is it for, surrounding all of these speculations that this is his political intent in the midst of all of this, and said that maybe people are to Uncle Sam and blah, 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 and all of those things. You know, I know these people just do not take decisions. When they take decisions, then it means they have a high core evidence. And I'm concerned, what were the evidence provided to the government of Liberia on which the president calls for their suspension and to say investigation will be conducted? Here we are. Who is getting themselves into danger here? Not just with voters. I'm not talking about the voters in Liberia, but with the international community. Who is getting themselves into trouble?
So I'd like to know which of the Nathaniel McGills was in that BMW, because remember the man said there's so many people been passing around saying Nathaniel McGill. So I really want to find out which.
Well, I can tell you, the Nathaniel McGill is in a BMW flying in the streets or heading to Banga is the suspended minister.
Hey, I just want to know, because the man said this superpower of the United States with an interagency investigation got them McGill wrong when I was talking to a man using a Facebook profile passing around. So I just want to know. But look, on a serious note, I double dare Nathaniel McGill to run on CDC ticket. I dare the CDC to do that.
He will go as independent.
And if he goes as independent, if the CDC does not place a formidable candidate in the race, the United States will know. We will know that they're playing ball under him. So they might as well just let him run as CDC if they don't place a formidable candidate to beat him. Here is the other thing. The president of the republic suspended these people. It could be, the idea of a sanction, is very, bad on this own outlook. So we remove these people not believing that they committed a crime. Just because that whole thing about, the member have stolen, we don't want that. Okay, fine. But when the president said, and he promised the nation that there will be an investigation, now our father, who we should not protest against when he's out of the country, has to now show that he's a responsible father and carry out the investigation. But here's what they're not going to do there. To start an investigation will mean that they will have to ask the U.S. government for evidence. To prosecute will mean that they have to use that evidence, and that evidence will become public record. They don't want that kind of world. And the reason also that they would not prosecute is because, remember, the loophole was that Brownie Samukai was convicted in the Liberian court. And so if you go to Liberian court and you carry a kangaroo justice and McGill is not convicted, we would have to see the evidence, right? Evidence will become public record. They don't want that. And so the president now is telling us he's going to fall on his sword for McGill, because that's the only way. And if he falls on his sword for McGill, look, that's why, when the liberal was speaking, it kind of made some sense to me. The reason it made sense to me not protesting is not because I think George, I just think that, look, with an interagency report indicting the office chief of staff of the president, you think any serious world leader want to be close to that thing? They are not. So LeBron should not even go there for nothing seen on the head for CDC to say that people in America or we get what we're supposed to get. Nobody is going to go close to that, right? And so with the president now, if we talk about the foot and mouth disease, right? McGill now does that. That is on international media. And you think somebody's going to look at it and say, this is a remorseful president who means well, who's going to tackle corruption when his boy is doing this thing? But you know what I'm excited about, though, from that video? That video shows something to me. Watch the last time McGill was in Bond County when he made that infamous speech about the money, we leave it here. You saw the entourage. You saw the convoy that carried him to Bond County. You saw that. Did you see this one? There were places for pickup driver to pass on the side. If I even saw a street peddler, there's a boy passing with his little market, and he turned around and saw that, and that kept going. He didn't even stop to wait, right? So any Tom, Dick, and Harry with money in Liberia can get pimping boys them to follow you. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry with at least $500 can get people to petition in Liberia. But if you look at the crowd that McGill carried, that is not the usual McGill crowd. So for me, this speaks to me that his win has been clipped for at least at some level. So at this point, he just don't want people to say, oh, where's McGill? So maybe he's getting out.
Is the president breaking ties with Mange? Seeing what we know the patent, it was Mange guy. We know patent and Ambassador Kimia, who is the chief diplomat, they were not getting along. The president coming to the United Nations, removing patent, who is a Mange guy. Is it correct to suggest that they are now cutting ties with him for us to see, or is just charade Mange in his own world? He's fighting his own battle, or what?
If I see the president will show me that he's serious. If I see Musa Dean indicting or even asking for the U.S. government to provide Liberia with the evidence against these three people, that will show me that the president is ready to turn a corner. But until that time, man, people are doing this, that Jamaica resort thing, they all sit together and do their thing and drink their Hennessy and come back and make fun of the Liberian people.
Sisi is doing this on purpose to add lamb juice with the Liberal. The Liberal is a soft guy. The Liberal, do you think I will see the president or the Ministry of Justice to make some sort of pronouncement? Can anybody yet imagine, is there any ongoing investigation? Why nobody asking these questions in Liberia? Why the GOL is not speaking as to how far the investigation has gone?
Mr. So,
conducted.
I told you the last time that the CDC is crumbling right before our own eyes, and I'm very serious about that. Watch and see this president get out of here. McGill and the people will be indicted. I truly believe that. You remember a few time ago, the ambassador went to the president's house, and still the president is coming. So what I believe is this, my man, they're gonna let you go there, but when you come from there, and they don't see any sign, don't blame me because I can't talk for you anymore. Those are the kinds of diplomatic, conversation that most likely is happening. My man, I can't do that thing right now. I'm going overseas. I don't want no yo behind me. I will leave here. When I come back here, when I stay here, you will see what I will do. Those kinds of conversation most likely is happening. And for the president, if you just look at it, this ambassador being friend to McGill, and this ambassador is out. And it's not just that. I said here yesterday on my talk show, there's a guy, McGill guy at the Ministry of Public Works.
Yes.
My understanding, that guy has been written up that he better put himself together and do what is right. Immediately after McGill left the sanction took over. The people that are running the China company and the East International, they started buying cones. Before that, they were using bamboo to guide the people on the road. And I show you that. They started buying cones to put cones on the road now. So McGill was seriously holding things up in our country. And I think this video here, and people like Dr. Weir, they don't forgive very easily. If you have listened and hear about Dr. Weir's story, ever since he played football, they say he keep grudge. He don't forget easily. So this video, McGill, you're trying to embarrass me. What is this here? It would be, you will bring it up. McGill, when he leaves from here, McGill and his people are going to be indicted. However, let me take a second. Let me just qualify that. If he realized that there will be more sanction and people who are close to him, and perhaps he think those people name on going to be on it, then the indictment, whatever it's going to be, it's not going to be hanging on Liberian sanction. They will use that, on American sanction. He will use that sanction to connect to serious connection, in corruption, connecting McGill in Liberia. McGill is not going to get away with this. He's not going to come back in a fold to be friend with Dr. Weir. You have among them, you have in the executive, you have Emmanuel Shah, who Emmanuel Shah and the other guy, what's his name? The other Bright. McGill were able to put his thumb on them. Since when was the last time you heard Emmanuel Shah name ranking? When was the last time you heard Bright name ranking? It's always McGill. McGill left now, according to the story. The ambassador have issue with people who are connected with people in the executive mansion, and they're pushing that line. So this is not, it's not over yet. It's not over yet, Mr. So I hope that why I truly believe that CDC is going to crumble right before our eyes. I hope it doesn't turn out to be nasty. You got people like Joyce Soto now coming up and making statements, people you never heard of before, So it's going to be interesting.
Amos George.
Yeah. Look, let me say, President Weir, there was his chief lieutenant gateway to his office. We should start asking ourselves, everything that was doing in that office, is there someone telling me that George Weir did not have no idea of major decisions that were coming from out of the office of the president? For me, I'm still waiting for George Weir to prove me wrong that he's not connected with the syndicate. 4.5 years this man being in the office of the president. All kinds of shady deal went on in that office. And he never had any idea. Is that what somebody is telling us tonight? No. The only way George Weir, I would believe that he never had an idea. He must come back and turn Nathaniel Mangill, Bill Traore, Serena Silva, to the Minister of Justice for 4 prosecution. And I'm not talking about Kangaroo Code, where they will just go, the man is now, the code did not find the man guilty. No. It should be open, transparent. Let it ask the United States government to provide every document that can help us, that is the government, to successfully prosecute this case or to vindicate them. Because as Cesar said, there are 2 things. If they say he's not guilty, they have to put that public document out. So now we say, Uncle Sam, why you embarrass our people? This is not true. But if they go ahead to prosecute with transparency, we have to see the document. So I always say George Weir is caught in between a rock and a hard place. So to successfully prosecute Mangill, then he has to make sure there's no scandal in his closet. that he was never directly or indirectly with deal with Martin Mangaden in any situation in Liberia. That got to be very clear. And so for me to say Nathaniel Mange was the one who was blocking all these people in the office, no. Okay. President, we are the one that appointed Nathaniel Mange. He appointed Emmanuel Shaw. He appointed Ajibor Bernard. He brought in Ron Bright. These people see the president every day.
All right.
And they were telling us, President Weah, that Nathaniel Mange was the only one to overshadow everything they were telling that was good. Except someone telling me that George here, he just there as a ceremonial head, and the man who will be the Minister of State is a de facto president who runs the country and just say, this is it, this is it. George Weah is in a predicament. Last, let me close on this. He has set a precedent now. Because what we're hearing, if it comes to fruition or if it is true, that there will be other names coming out. Then, of course, he has to take the same step again. So, but...
Oh, and Mange calling you?
Then I will know that George Weah is now turning the curve to fight corruption.
This guy bring here Carter here again. Okay, fighting the corruption. We're getting some news here from someone who's familiar with government. Well, gentlemen, we will soon be going here, but we are getting some interesting information here with people who are familiar and how government works, keeping track of what is happening. Here is it. The president left Musa Dane in charge. Musa Dane, who is the chief prosecutor, that's the Minister of Justice, left Musa Dane, or system went off. Okay, maybe I think system went off. He left Musa Dane in charge.
Can you have Mr. George to fix his camera?
George, and I in Atlanta, Georgia. George will fix this. Let me see. Let me get him off and then get him. I think something. Yeah, he needs something. So yeah, we will be going out here. But here is the deal here. What we are getting from this government official, from a government official, fair to mention, but from the other way, the inner work of government. The president left Musa Dane in charge as chairman of the cabinet as he visited the U.S. And remember, people keeping track, Musa Dane was heavily criticized by City Mayor Jefferson Koji, Nathaniel Mange, and Finance Minister Samuel Tuwe. All right. They heavily criticizing in the past of Musa Dane not in the interest of CDC. He's in charge. Now, this official is asking, how can the president navigate Washington, D.C. without the highest diplomatic presence? Just the same thing we were talking about here. We're just pulling around here. And it went on to say, Duana, who is appointed as the new ambassador, cannot get confirmation. He's not going to get a confirmation now. So it means there's a big vacuum. That is a serious problem. To Koji, they say Musa Dane is not defending the interests of the CDC. What they do fail to also realize, Musa Dane, as the chief prosecutor of the Republic of Liberia, he does to do his job, not to serve the party, not even the president, as the Attorney General, we will call it here, stuff like that. He's there to make sure that the Liberia or DOJ there, correct? Yeah. He's there to follow the laws on the book and do what he's supposed to do. But the inner guys within the party, they are not doing that.
Mr. So,
is a potential problem coming?
Mr. So, look, I think if you remember back on many of our shows, I've always stated this, that Musa Dane, for me, is a big boy in the room, a big man in the room. It's Musa Dane behavior that continue to have international community trust in terms of the law enforcement part of issue in Liberia. Now, if you remember, when Costa and the government were having some serious issue, and Costa was supposed to travel to Monrovia. The Eugene Facon and the Solicitor General were told Costa Gaya he's going to be arrested. And Musa Din came out clearly. The man has not committed any crime. What reason would he be? He's not going to be arrested. And then Musa Din have been at this here for a very long time. Musa Din has always preached the law, have always stayed with the law. Where these people are now, they're always fighting on the side of campaigning, benevolent dictator. What do you expect out of those people? Nothing else. But I'm just saying, Musa Din being left in charge is a clear indication, I hope, that the president is taking a different route.
Taking a different route.
The president is looking at other people as well.
Okay, let me spin this last talking point across the room because our time is not really in our favor. The anti-corruption commissions or unit, whatever, should they act on these decisions of the government to say investigation going to be conducted and begin to dig out all of the data and get it out in the public? Is that a strategic and political way for which the president can tie this to himself so that it can seem like the cat eating your own baby, the cat who helped to raise this guy here to say he's eating his own baby? Quickly here, gentlemen, before we go, what should the what should they be doing now?
Look, Mr. So, the thing here is very simple. George Weah is the president of the Republic of Liberia. The anti-corruption unit, all he has to do, tell them, this is the document we have from the United States government treasury. Let's with the money laundering group in the bank, money laundering group, the agency that they have bureau, let's with them. So this thing can be set up. But he cannot stand on the side and say the anti-corruption bureau not just get up. You have to refer something to them. And the president said, wow, he got the document from the U.S. government. Based upon that, why he suspended the people for. So either you're supposed to turn that document over either to the Minister of Justice or to the Anti-Corruption Bureau for further investigation. It's just simple thing. That's it. And okay. He knows that he wants to do the right thing for Liberia. He wants Liberia to get on a good footing. Those are the steps he needs to take. And let me just say something quick about Musa Din. You know, Mr. To, you said some good thing about Musa Din, but I have an issue with Musa Din. We have series of killing in Liberia, rape, you name it. The mysterious disappearance of people in Liberia. Our Minister of Justice, how many cases they can tell you? Honor Musa Din that has been successfully prosecuted to the letter.
Okay. Sissy, wrap it up for us.
So the president turning people over to LACC. Which one? The new LACC that the law they just passed or the old LACC? I don't know. LACC right now is in coma.
It's in coma.
But to be very truthful, though, if the president turned over these sanctioned officials to LACC, then it becomes very tricky because this is the very same LACC operation that the president interfered with when they were talking about the Minister of Agriculture, and he came in and interfered as the president and biased their whole investigation. So do you now go and send these people, and if the LACC proceeds, it looks like you're picking and choosing justice? That would not be fair. And who really trusts the LACC international communities? Nobody, nowhere. And so this has to be handled very seriously. This cannot be handled as the usual thing. And just one thing on the implosion of the CDC. Did you listen to Lester Tenney when he talked about it? We force the president to give him help. The party will force him and help him. These they are comical, but they are very dangerous. because they are telling us that the intelligent educator wing of the CDC is recognizing that the president is incapable of helping himself. Therefore, let's just stand and say, we will force the president and help him. The party will go and help him, and he doesn't want to force him for him to accept the help. So this case, the corruption issue, this sanction has to be handled seriously, because if it's not, it will affect not just the diplomatic standing of the Republic of Liberia, but accept money. It will affect how much money comes into the country. Remember, when we go to the World Bank and be coming back and boasting about World Bank, just give our money, you know who controls the World Bank the most, right? It's the United States. They can pull plugs on there. Even when you go to the EU, the US have friends at the European Union that they can use to block money from coming to Liberia. So this is not just it's not like Sierra Leone is indicting us and we'll go, forget about them, let them close board, or else we'll go somewhere else to Guinea. You can't do that with the United States. This has to be taken very seriously. And the Liberal made a point that if the president gets an intelligence that there are more people closer to him that are about to be put in this can of deplorable and sealed up, then there has to be a strategic decision taken. And I believe that whether or not he takes a decision, there is already a precedent set. When people are sanctioned, they are automatically suspended. And when they are suspended, the president does not have the spine to fire them. Because if the president, mind you, goes out and fire anybody else on another sanction list, it shows to us now that he didn't have the spine to fire his people that are closer to him, but he could fire people farther away from him. The president has put himself in a bind either way.
Well, the best of commentator analysts ever on the net. Susan Goyle, senior contributor, based in Minnesota. Amos George is based in Atlanta, Georgia. And of course, the liberal next to Nancy Pelosi in the liberal state of California. Yes, close that mic. Close that mic.
Why does it have to? Why does it have to?
Mic. Close that mic. Bring out your Walmart out.
But why does it have to be? And of course, and why does it have to be? And of course, in fact, why says the center right?
Gentlemen, thank you. We're gonna. I want to see you
back
here.
Wait a minute, Mr. So, it's a serious. It's a serious question. Why am I the last?
Because that's a tradition.
Why are you the last? I had my judge
to be sure. I determine who go first, who go second, who go last. This time around, something told is the last. Statement finished.
But you
want to file in protest?
I think that call for that. That is
cash me $250 protest fee, very cheap.
No, I don't want to file protest.
Okay. Oh, he bounced back. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And we will be back here on Sunday. Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful weekend, guys. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, of course, to our many viewer listeners, I want to thank you so much for sharing your evenings with us here on the Liberia Public Radio. In the meanwhile, we still have this book. You need to know about your history, some of the things about your country, Liberty Hijack, the histories of how the loss of liberty divides Liberia. It's the bestseller right now, available on Amazon. And if you are within the New England belt, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Enclave here, just call me, just contact me, 682-433-8802, 401-440-6216. Contact me through my Facebook, and we can make this book available, or you just go directly on Amazon and just place in your order. $20. You order or you get to us here in the New England, $15. But there are a lot of interesting, fascinating, word-loaded memoir here to read. And we encourage you to get that. And coming soon on Liberia Public Radio, the Liberian World Today, the Liberia's Public Radio and Sky Communication FM in Liberia in a joint new editions here coming soon right here on the Liberia Public Radio, 4 p.m. local time in Liberia and 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday here. We're going to be letting you know the start date, social, economic, politics, development, good governance, or we're going to be talking to scholars, authors, or we're going to be talking to them right here on the diaspora stations. Until then, it's 10:24 Eastern Standard Time. Have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.
You want to wake up now? You want to say now? You want to go now? Yeah, you want to